You know, you guys, whether you've been watching the NBA for maybe just this year, or you've been watching it for the last couple of decades on end, I think that I can very confidently say, no matter the circumstances, that this league will never cease to amaze you. And of course, as the 2022 playoffs have been nothing short of a roller coaster of entertainment so far, most of the world was shocked once again with the absolutely historic performance put up by the Dallas Mavericks over the Phoenix Suns, advancing them to the Western Conference Finals. And if you were one of the few that actually predicted this team to make it this far, I can do absolutely nothing but give you props. But when you take a look at the reality of the situation, the Dallas Mavs have been deceiving the entire NBA over the course of this entire season, and how they were able to do so and go on a run that almost no one anticipated needs to be dived into just a little bit further. One sec though, guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for those of you that haven't yet, believe me, I am highly encouraging you to do so, because according to my numbers, over 95% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So for any of you that do, thank you so much. But anyway, again, for a Dallas Mavericks team that finished the season with a 52-30 record, netting them the 4th seed in the Western Conference, who also completed a mid-season blockbuster trade that shipped out their second star and had many people thinking that the Mavs were focused on their future, was, long story short, not a team that many people expected to be just 4 games away from an NBA Finals appearance. And don't get me wrong, the players from top to bottom in this rotation deserve all the credit in the world, but quite possibly the most deceiving factor about this Dallas Mavericks team was none other than the acquisition of their current coach in Jason Kidd, who has seemed to completely rewrite his coaching reputation in the span of just 1 year. Because for a Dallas Mavericks team who I do know has some different pieces thrown into the rotation this season, for the most part was not substantially better in the lens of talent at least, and if we're being honest, the Mavs would probably not be in the situation they currently are without the brilliant adjustments of Jason Kidd and what he has brought to the table. Because I'm sure that most of you remember the first couple of stints for Jason Kidd as a head coach with both the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks, and if we're gonna keep it short and sweet, there were a lot of different people that thought Kidd had a lot to work on before being a competent head coach in the NBA. And while you guys, I think it's safe to say that he definitely learned what was necessary for him to fit in perfectly with this Dallas Mavs team, because in this series that was heavily favored on the side of the Suns, and after they took a commanding 2-0 lead in the first 2 games, Jason Kidd's game-to-game adjustments weren't just a crucial benefit to the Mavs, but they were the deciding factor in how they took over this series. Because whether we're talking about Kidd calling out his star player in Luka for his defensive liability, his constant switching of defensive matchups that continually confused and tired out the Phoenix Suns, or even the fact that he somehow was able to make both DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul almost completely inexistent towards the end of this series, just goes to show his immensely improved IQ as a coach for leading a team to the Western Conference Finals that, again, many people believe shouldn't be here and isn't even built to be here. And with some of the Dallas Mavs videos I've made in the past, I know that we've touched on this subject from time to time, but you guys, it truly cannot be emphasized enough that the current build of this Dallas Mavs team, specifically when you consider that there isn't a distinguished second or third star on this roster, is in fact the only way this team can reach their highest potential, and the NBA world just can't seem to wrap their head around this. And I will say with this statement that the only real concrete evidence I am backing up with this is what we saw in the Luka and Kristaps Porzingis era, so I'm not trying to say that Luka necessarily wouldn't work with other distinguished stars in the league, but from everything that we did see in the Luka and KP era, I think that almost everyone could agree that it was time to move on. And even after the Mavs finally did move on when trading Porzingis and in return receiving Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, no one really thought much of it. In fact, most people thought it meant they were throwing in the towel for this season and focusing on the foreseeable future and possibly bringing in some free agents. But little did most of the world know, this trade actually pushed the Mavs to their highest potential yet. Because when you do have a star like Luka Doncic, who is doing some of the most ridiculous things we have seen in quite some time, we've come to realize that a core of proven role players along his side is the perfect formula for both Luka Doncic and the rest of the rotation. Because, I mean, you guys have seen it for yourself. Some of the role players on the Mavs like Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, and Spencer Dinwiddie, who we should also mention are, just to name a few of them, playing some of the best basketball we have seen in their entire careers. I mean, if any of you guys have been watching the NBA for even just the last decade or so, you know as well as almost anyone else that there seems to be two unwritten rules about the ability of a team to win a championship, with one of them being you need a top 5 player in the league on your roster, and the other one being that you need a minimum of 2, if not 3 proven stars in the league right now. And yes, while the Mavs are currently following one of these rules, they're also simultaneously proving that the other one is not a necessity whatsoever. Because for any of you NBA fans that for God knows what reason are still waiting for Luka Doncic to impress you even more, there is not much more he can do to not only prove that he's a top 5 player in the league right now, but also that his reign over the league is just beginning. Because if it isn't already enough that he's defying all odds, leading this team to the Western Conference Finals at just 23 years old and in his 4th season, the numbers he is putting up in the process, and I am not over-exaggerating when I say this, are truly otherworldly. Because again, at just 23 years old, we can take a look at his regular season stats. We can also take a look at his playoff stats this year if you'd like, which seems to point out he only gets better as the stage gets brighter. Or we can look at the best one yet, that Luka Doncic is averaging an absolutely absurd 38.3 points per game in elimination games, which you can argue is the biggest stage of them all, and he is averaging the most in NBA history. Now, going into this Western Conference against the Golden State Warriors, I'm personally already seeing a lot of people writing off the Mavs and sending the Warriors right to the ship. And don't get me wrong, I can see points being made from either side of the argument, but from the brilliance in coaching to the stellar play and even the clutch gene showcase throughout the entire rotation of the Dallas Mavericks, I refuse to write off this team anymore, and I feel like this is just the beginning of a future that will see the Mavs in this situation a lot more times than just this season. But anyway, you guys, again, with the Mavericks shocking almost the entire NBA world with what they've done, I'm also very curious to hear what you guys have to think about the situation. So please let me know in the comments, do you think the Mavs are capable of going to and winning the NBA Finals this season? And also, what has been the most surprising part about this Mavericks run to you from what you've seen? But also, guys, again, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. I always say it, but I can't say it enough, you guys. We're coming out with brand new NBA videos every single week here on the channel, so just believe me when I say it, you do not want to miss out. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate you guys more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.